All right, let's go test FSD version 14.1.4. Just downloaded it, and we're going to take it to a CVS. We'll do it a couple different stops tonight. Sole purpose of this testing, this first drive, is to do, or see rather, if the brake stabbing and hesitation issues are gone. They've progressively gotten better through the dot releases of FSD version 14, but there are still some remaining issues that I found on 14.1.3, and so we're seeing if those are worked out. And so I'm just using my iPhone to record, and so that's why the screen kind of looks a little bit washed out, so I'm sorry for that. Oh, a little bit of indecision there. That's okay. So it's going a different way than the nav is saying. But yeah, this is probably about the same distance. I'm not doing a sped up version of this video because you guys have requested that I just do the 1x speed commentary videos. You seem to prefer those, so I'm just going to do it that way. So not everyone has FSD version 14 yet on Hardware 4 vehicles. Tens of thousands of people do, but there's still a lot of people waiting. And I think depending on how this version is, we'll see if even more people, it expands to more people. But my guess is they're just going to wait until 14.2 until really everybody that has a Hardware 4 vehicle gets it. I don't know about the Cybertruck owners; that's sort of its own thing. But certainly Model 3 Y, S, and X vehicles will. Roundabouts are not really an issue anymore. Like, those used to be an issue, back in like version 10 and even 11. But once version 12 came out, and certainly version 14, it's pretty much hammered out. So I didn't take this to Boston just because it's a little bit too far for tonight's drive. So we're just going to stay to southern New Hampshire. No brake stabbing or hesitation issues there. I've seen some other people that now have FSD version 14 comment that it can be a little bit too cautious with pedestrians, and sometimes it's a little bit aggressive in terms of switching lanes. So let's go to Mad Max mode actually, because I want to push it to the max, to its limit rather. Because I feel like if we're gonna experience some brake stabbing or hesitation issues, it's probably gonna be on Mad Max mode. I use FSD all the time now. I rarely drive myself anywhere, and it still blows my mind that you can put in a destination now and it'll park itself at that destination. Like, that's one thing that FSD couldn't do for the longest time, or at least not reliably. But now with version 14, that's something that you can do reliably, and it's still wild to me. I know it probably doesn't seem that crazy to most other people, but to me it's like that's such a key piece of the robotaxi experience. Like, you don't want to have to touch the wheel or take over once you get to your destination. You want the car to just do everything from point A to point B, and that's really what version 14 does. I mean, the fact that we're complaining about brake stabbing or hesitation issues at this point really shows you how far FSD has come. We just crossed the 5-year anniversary of when FSD Beta originally came out on, I think it was October 21st or 22nd of 2020. So there's not going to be a ton of twisty roads on this route, but I'm going to see what I can do on the next one. That's why I like Boston, because it's such like a spaghetti bowl of navigation. It's just all over the place. It's not like a grid pattern like New York City is easy to navigate. One reason I like being one of the early testers that gets us software early is because, most of the testing happens in Texas and in California. And so I don't know many people that, I don't think the company, Tesla itself, employees are driving around, New Hampshire that often testing FSD. So I kind of feel like I'm sort of like an early tester in that regard for the state, which is kind of fun. And it's especially going to be fun this winter. Like, I'm definitely going to put FSD through its paces this winter, man. It is, and especially, I'm going to take it to some back roads where there's no lane markings, where things get real tricky. Because if you want robo-taxis out in the world, you need it to perform well in cold weather cities. Now, Tesla's going to focus on the warm weather cities first, which makes sense. So far they're only have permits and are applying for permits in warm weather cities. But eventually, they're going to need to expand to Boston, New York, Philadelphia, Detroit and whatnot. All right, let's see how it does on the parking. It's always interesting to see if it chooses to back in or pull in forwards. Nice. All right. So that was a smooth ride. So that's great. Maybe we should go into like a residential area. Just because like it's a little bit more curvy. And we'll do, I want to go to this cul-de-sac. And I'll choose a curbside drop-off. Again, if the screen is washed out, that's sort of on purpose because I'm keeping the exposure up so you guys can see out the front windshield better. But I think it's time for me to get like a GoPro or something that just handles all these driving videos better with the wide angle lens. Because the 0.5 on the iPhone, even the new 17, it's good, but it's not great. Oh, this will be interesting. It's doing a little bit of a UE here. Gonna go around the roundabout. I wonder why it did that. I think it could have just turned left out of that CVS. I do hear from other people that now have FSD version 14 that mapping, a bunny, that mapping stuff and the decisions it makes in terms of navigation is a little bit wonky. In the way that, version 13 wasn't. Like we're gonna pass the CVS up here. Yeah, I could have just turned left out of there. So that's something that needs to be improved. But not the end of the world. Like, I'll take navigation issues or just slightly longer rides over actual braking, stabbing issues or hesitation issues. Nothing so far. Haven't felt any stabbing, which is great. And again, we're on Mad Max, so we're just going to be doing sort of a lot of shorter destination rides tonight. Just going to be bouncing around different areas, seeing how it handles the drop-off or curbside or parking scenarios. Going to be going on main streets, sort of residential areas as well. I do want to discuss Mad Max mode. I think there's a misunderstanding in terms of, top speed and stuff. And, to be clear, it does go quickly around some areas, more so than I'd like. But that's sort of the point. Like, you have those options. You can switch your driving profile, or speed profile rather, down to, hurry or standard or chill or sloth. It's whatever you want. And FSD version 13, I saw so many articles. It's even a few articles were written based off of the videos that I uploaded. They're like, Mad Max mode goes up to 85 miles an hour. It's breaking the speed limit. I'm like, version 13 had a max speed limit in hurry mode of 85 miles an hour, and no one wrote any articles about that. And people act like going 80 on the highway or even 85 sometimes is insane. Like, technically, is it breaking the speed limit? I mean, everyone else is going 80. Like, everyone on the highway, at least around in New Hampshire, at least. I don't know about other states, and in Massachusetts too. Really, all of New England, everyone's driving 80, around 80 miles an hour on the highway, if not a little bit more than that. And I don't think I've ever heard of a cop pulling over, at least my friend group and family, of when they're driving 80 or 79 or whatever on the highway, of them getting pulled over. Cops don't tend to do that on the highway, at least around here. Doesn't mean they don't ever do that, but I haven't heard of that. But naturally, the NHTSA or NHTSA is investigating it, which, I expected that. That's sort of normal. We've seen them investigate stuff like that before, and doesn't mean anything will come of it. But that's sort of their job, to investigate this stuff. It's just the media doesn't really write about like investigations into stuff that Ford does or GM. We kind of just hear about the Tesla stuff, so it seems worse than it is. All right, there we go. Let's see where else we can go. Let's go to Popeyes. Come on. A lot of people are confused about how did you make FSD work through a drive-thru? Well, you can't, at least right now, you can't set the drive-thru, or rather the restaurant, as the destination. You have to essentially drive there and then engage FSD separately as you're starting to enter the drive-thru area. There's not like a specific destination option where you can select drive-thru versus parking. Because if you just select, McDonald's as the destination, it'll just find a parking spot and park. They'll probably change that at some point where you can select, do you want to go through the drive-thru or park, but that's not an option yet. At least I don't think so. Let's see. Yeah, no, not yet. But yeah, going back to the Mad Max stuff and, all the articles, and Max mode to me has never felt like unsafe. I've never felt like, oh my god, this is super unsafe. It does go quickly around some areas, but just like change your speed profile if you don't like it. Simple as that. Its top speed is not any higher than FSD version 13 was. And the data speaks for itself. Like, no one's gotten in an accident that I know of on Mad Max mode. And there's tens of thousands of Teslas that already have this, new version of self-driving. And growing. Little stick there. Tesla just reported their Q3 safety driving data, and in Q3 there was one for the people that were using autopilot on Teslas. There was one crash for every 6.3 million miles, whereas the average number from NHTSA is like one crash for people just regularly driving any vehicle. It's just one. It was one crash for every 702,000 miles. So I did notice some there. See, that's the indecision right there. Kind of when it sees those solid white lines, that's where I notice it gets sort of confused of what to do. In a way that version 13 didn't. And so there was some hesitation there. All right, just gonna find a parking spot. There we go. Alrighty, let's go here. Curbside. Again, just jumping around quickly to different places. Just putting it through its paces. It is 10:30 at night, so there aren't a ton of cars out. That's probably why, testing in LA is so great. It's because there's just always so many cars out, which increases the difficulty. It takes living in LA it's beautiful and the weather's, nice there, but man, it takes forever to get anywhere. There's just so much traffic. It sucks. During the We Robot event, I stayed at Omar's house, and just to get anywhere is just crazy. For those of you that have version 14, let me know if you haven't shared your thoughts already on X. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think of it, what your experience is. With the release of, and I know not that many people have it yet, but with the release of 14.1.4 tonight to the general public, this is now the 5th FSD software release in just the last 2.5 weeks. So that's one software update on average every 3.5 days. Ooh, that was interesting. Okay, that's the first time that's happened. So it did the Robotaxi style wiper clean, but no fluid came out. So, and I'm not low on fluid. So I don't know if that was a bug or if that was purposeful. I don't know. Maybe that's new for 14.1.4. Probably not, but I'll have to ask the team about that. I think 14.2 is probably going to be the version that, these last remaining hesitation and indecision issues are going to be worked out. To be clear, every dot release has gotten better, or is better than the previous. But still not there and quite there yet in terms of everyday driving smoothness. But that's sort of the point. You introduce a lot of features, and there's some things to work out initially, but they get worked out in the dot releases. And they're, like I said, they're releasing updates really quickly and working these things out. So all right, it's doing a curbside sort of style drop off here. There we go. All right, let's do a little bit of supercharging. Let's go there. Four-minute drive to the supercharger. Well, actually, I got a 40%. We'll go there, we'll have it park, and then we'll leave. Actually, no, after the supercharger, we'll go to this Shake Shack, and I'll drop a pin on the map, and see if it'll parallel park in a specific spot. Oh, a bunny. The car hesitated because it saw the bunny. That was a good reaction. FSD 14 is so quick in how quickly it reacts. It's wild. Nope. Slight brake stab there. Alright, so it's still there, but nothing terrible. So obviously it's going to back in this time. I'm really looking forward to version 14.3, which Elon on the earnings call a few days ago said it's going to have banish. Like, it'll feel sentient. Because you'll be able to get out of the car, get dropped off, and then it'll go find a parking spot on its own, which is crazy. All right. Backing it in. It usually nails this. Yeah, that's fine. All right, let's go to that. Here we go. So we're going to go to that spot, like I said, parallel park. Let me just make sure we have parking. Yep. Okay, so once we get there, so when we started this drive, we went around a roundabout, and then it changed its mind halfway. It was about to turn left, and then it went straight, if you remember that. So I'm going to do the same thing once we get there, put another destination in that I think will make it have to decide in that same scenario where to go. And it'll need to go all the way around the roundabout to take the shortest route. So I'm going to put the Chick-fil-A in the same sort of complex. And if it goes straight again, this time it would have taken the longer route, which would be not ideal. So this would be a good sort of navigation test. The point of the testing whether there's brake stabbing or hesitation issues is really so the people that never use FSD or that are trying it for the first time, that they feel comfortable using it. Like us everyday testers or users that, the diehards sort of, so to speak, like we can deal with it. It's not the most comfortable thing, but we're fine with it. Like at this point, FSD version 14 for me is smooth enough that I feel comfortable and fine using it every day, all day. But when you're talking about someone like my mom, who, granted, she has a hardware 3 car, but she did buy FSD. She has a 2022 Model Y. She wouldn't really want to put up with those brake stabbing or hesitation issues because it would just be too much for her. She's 75. I mean, and same thing with first time users. You want it to be as smooth and comfortable as possible, and that's the goal. And that's what the team's working on, and they've gotten a lot better over the last few dot releases. And as I said, I think it'll be worked out by 14.2 is my guess. Which I wouldn't be surprised if they're trying to get that out by the shareholder meeting. Because I think everyone having FSD version 14, at least the hardware 4 users, that'd be cool. All right, around this roundabout, and then around the corner is the parallel parking. So the spot where I dropped the pin is unavailable, but 2 spots ahead of it is open. So it's going to choose that one. Nice. Hopefully the car will let us go. There we go. FSD is a better parallel parker than I am, without a doubt. I am not good. A little hesitant there, but it pulled forward. Boom. All right. Now for the other test I was saying. So again, so you see right here, it's going to have to go around here, and ideally it's going to go around this roundabout. Last time, at the beginning of this whole video, it was supposed to go around, or originally wanted to go around this way. The navigation told that, but it went straight this way. And so we're going to try to have it go around this way, back around this roundabout, and then into here and park. So let's see how it does. I hope you could see that on the, on the video, everything I was pointing out. Might have been a little blurry. Okay, so the navigation is showing that it's going to go around this roundabout. So hopefully it sticks to that and doesn't go the long way, which would be going straight out of this left turn up here. Nice. It did the right move. So it took the most efficient route. That's good. Couple new Model Ys charging right there. Nice. It's probably going to go around here and park this way. There we go. Good job. All right, let's do 2 more stops. Let's go, maybe we'll go this way. Let's go here. We'll do another curbside style drop off. Again, just selecting random spots on the map, trying to put it through its paces, which is a little difficult late at night in southern New Hampshire. What's up, Model Ys? Do you guys have the latest brain update? Oh no, it says stop here on red. Okay. was gonna say I thought I could go forward, but nope. The longer I make this video, the longer it's gonna take to upload to X. Uploading on X is a bit of a nightmare with these long 4K files. Oftentimes I'll start the upload and then the entire site will crash because it's just too much for it. YouTube does not have that issue, so uploading on X is very, very frustrating. They need to work on that. Like if I start uploading on one tab and then, go to another tab and I go back to the tab that was uploading the video on X, it literally be as if I didn't even start uploading at all. It'll just be on my account. The entire compose post thing had just crashed. And the upload had canceled essentially. It's as if I never did anything. We'll do one more stop after this, and then I think we'll call it a night so it doesn't take 5 hours to upload this video. Still on Mad Max mode. It can get really relaxing and just at nighttime, having the car drive you around. Because you don't really have to do anything but supervise it. Just navigating these little islands well. Another bunny. That's like the fourth bunny tonight during this drive. Alright. One more. There we go. Let's go. Is there like a place I can... There we go. Maybe... Let's just do another curbside here. Ooh, 15 minutes. That's kind of far. Because it's going to make this a long video. Alright, let me take over here and do a shorter one. Let's, try to see it not go too far. Maybe let's just do Best Buy. Something simple. I love the Matrix LED adaptive headlights. Now, it incorrectly thinks these house lights are headlights, but on the highway at least, and around town, it's quite accurate. Like right there, it knows it's a car. It's turning off the individual zones. By the way, some people were commenting that Mad Max mode isn't as crazy as some of us, early beta testers or early testers led them to believe it was. And when we got it in, I think it was 13.1.2, it was more aggressive than it was on 13.1.3. So it was, at least in my experience, it felt like it accelerated quicker on .2 than on .3. And on .4 now, it feels even more refined, which is good. It's better for everyday comfortability. It still, goes around quickly and accelerates more quickly than the other speed profiles, but it's not so, race car-like. I know this wasn't the most challenging 45 minutes of driving. Again, Boston is just was going to be an hour-long drive, so there, and then another hour back, so I didn't want to do that tonight just for this release. Especially because, a ton of people are about to get this anyways, probably, so. And there's no new features. But maybe on 14.2, I'll do that. By the way, Lucid reached out, I don't know, maybe a couple months ago. And they offered to give me a Gravity SUV for a week. And so I'm going to pick that up in a couple weeks here. And going to test it out. I'm going to be fair, point out what I like and don't like. They didn't say, don't say this or don't say that. They just offered the vehicle, and I'll just do what I want to do. I'm not really a car reviewer, so don't expect anything super polished. But, I figured why not? When I checked it out I was in the Boston Seaport area, and I was like, oh, I wonder if Lucid has the new Gravity in the store. So I popped over and I did, and I checked it out, and they're like, you want to just take it for a quick test drive? I was like, yeah, sure. And one of the guys in the store that works there, he follows me actually, and I think he worked at Tesla, he said, for 10 plus years or something, if I remember correctly. So they're Tesla fans too. And we'll try it out, see what it's like. We're long term. All right, final stop here. Thank you everyone for watching. I hope this was somewhat entertaining. Again, you guys told me you didn't want the 2x speed videos. You wanted the 1x commentary videos. So that's what we did tonight. Probably not the most interesting drive, but especially because it's not that many cars out. But FSD version 14.1.4, it is a little bit smoother than .3, but I'm still experiencing, it didn't quite nail that, so it's correcting itself. Still some hesitation issues. There was one small brake stabbing thing tonight, but it's really just the hesitation stuff and some of the indecision when it comes to lanes and stuff. But honestly, these are such minor things compared to what, FSD used to do wrong. So they've made a lot of progress, and I suspect by version 14.2, all these things will be worked out, and it'll go wide to all hardware 4 vehicles. Yeah. All right. Thank you all for listening, and I'll upload this as quickly as I can. Thank you.